What up? What up? This is your boy Shane Kipper. Um, I got a pretty interesting one for you guys today. We're going to be talking about how to properly budget your advertisements, your advertising budget, right? So, how to prepare that budget, what to expect, kind of the numbers you want to start thinking about when preparing that budget, because it's not just some arbitrary number that you just come up with. Okay, I got $1,000 to spend on advertisements, and I'm expecting to 10x that return. Um, right. So, I'm also going to be breaking down the three different levels that you want to kind of start to identify yourself with, and what level you are operating within, and really the one that you probably should be operating within when it comes to advertising your products or services to acquire customers, right? So before I get started here, um, I've put together a simple little map that we'll go through. But at callwithshane.com, I have a free 30-minute presentation that'll help you really come up with a message that's compelling so that you can start writing sales copy, doing your video sales letters, writing your email campaigns to create kind of a flow, creating that brand message that creates interest and also brings people to a sale. So, first thing I wanted to start talking about is the fact that when it comes to preparing your ad budget, again, like I said, it's not some arbitrary number where you're saying $1,000. We want to start considering what it costs, what are agreed. We kind of have to come up with a number as far as what we think our customer is worth. So, if as it really depends on what you're pricing your products and services at. So, for example, if you had some front end course or something like that for $47, let's say. Well, the idea is that you want to actually, let's move over to Miro. I'm gonna skip around here a little bit. This will give us a better understanding of what I'm talking about here. So, um, perfect. So first off, we've got level 1, level 2, and level 3. These are the three different levels of um, a- marketing and advertising, right? These are the positions you want to consider yourself and kind of identify with. For the majority, we want to spend our time on level 2. Let's see. I'm still not sharing my screen. I'm going to do something here. Okay. Sorry about that. All right. Now we're on the actual screen. So, there's level 1, which is, for example, a solopreneur or a mom and pop or like a local business that would be advertising. And when I say solopreneur, I would assume most of the people that are in this group or watching this channel would be solopreneurs. I consider an entrepreneur someone who has a team, multiple businesses. But I say solopreneur because, and from experience, um, the focus is entirely on the profit, right? So I want to put $50 in and make $50 back. So that's purely focused on profit, especially when it comes to the front end of our process, which is a very important piece of the process, because that front end allows us to test and identify pieces and components of our messaging and our sales system that are and aren't working. Without that piece, if we try to launch a large back end campaign, we're going to have spent a ton of time, energy, resources, and very likely money, all to very little results. And that's pretty typical, because what happens is, with the marketplace evolving so fast, right? We've got people, thousands of people joining the internet space. I have people come to me all the time that don't even have a product, but they want to become a coach, right? Um, but that's just me as one person. So there's a lot of people joining the internet space, and the main message that is out there is to model what is working, right? And that works, and that is very a viable strategy. especially in the beginning, right? If you're just getting started, model what works, absolutely. But at the end of the day, what happens is people just knock off what's already out there. So there's nothing different. There's nothing being said that is unique and exciting that really actually targets the prospect's interests and pains and fears and frustrations. It's just something that someone came up with off the top of their head because it sounded good. It's a claim. Whether or not they can fulfill on that is another story. Okay. But when someone is focused on profit, for example, with me, when I was focused entirely on profit before I learned this method, is I'm trying to make as much money as I can, invest, and then make the money and then keep it, right? But what happens is because I'm only focused on that one prospect that I can acquire for $50 and make 100, that decreases the amount then that I'm able to spend on advertising. Right? Because if I spend $50 and another competitor is willing to spend $100 to acquire a customer, he's already beat me, right? But that when it comes to your ad budget, and this is why I wanted to start here, is because if you have, let's say it costs your customer value, especially on the front end, is $100. When someone buys your course or program or whatever, and it only costs them $100, well, their value, if you don't have anything on the back end yet, is $100. So if we can spend $100 to acquire a customer at $100, then we can continue to pump out $100, right? It's more of a investment than it is an expense. When we can basically break even, which is level 2, breaking even, is when we're actually starting to acquire assets. You're still acquiring assets as a solopreneur, level 1, but the reality is that when we're focused on gaining assets, we can ramp up and scale those advertisements because it's not costing us really any money. I mean, you have to put the money in, but that money's coming back in full. We can continuously get customers in our pipeline, because the reality of it is and they say this in sales all the time, is that when a prospect opens up their wallet, gives you their credit card, the best sale is the second sale. It's the easiest money to get the second sale, but that first sale is the hardest, which is why the front end is so important. But we are actually creating a customer journey, a customer experience. We've got them into our programs to where they know, like, and trust, and can really see that we have the value. They're going to want more, which means we can then steadily increase the spend to maximize the acquisition, right? And it really depends on what you have to offer. But developing something where you can have a front end system that is like $47, for example, and being able to pay $50, $47 to acquire a customer on repeat, day in, day out, you're acquiring customers. And then we move into level 3, which is the investor. Because we've already acquired the asset, we don't have to pay for it again, right? We're essentially acquiring customers for free in this model, right? We're putting $1 in, getting $1 back, but now we have an asset. So we invested, but we got something worth more value. As an investor, we're focused on the value. We're focused on repeat customers, like people buying over and over again, multiple different offers and products, right? So especially if you're just getting started, it's essential to be able to build that customer base, right? That's when you're also going to start to get people ranting and raving about you, especially if you're really bringing the value in that front end component. And it really helps develop the brand overall. So as an investor, now that we've got people in our community that have already bought from us, we can release other programs that are more advanced and provide more value. and get someone an even bigger result, right? So then, like I said, that asset was number one, acquired essentially for free because we had invested $100, got them to pay $100. Now they're a customer, an asset. Now with the back end, we can literally market new offers, bigger offers, and all of that becomes pure profit. That's how an investor thinks, right? They invest money for the long term because of the value that it will appreciate. Whereas someone that's focused on the profit in the investor terms, I wouldn't call them an investor because an investor would be more of a long term. But when we look at it from a solopreneur's perspective, that person is the person that will it's all about the FOMO, right? It's, oh, crypto markets are taking off, I'm going to miss it. So they buy in waiting for the profit, and they're scared with emotion. And so they'll pull out and probably miss it continuously rising, or just completely hang on and miss the chance to pull out. So as an investor, people invest for long term. That's a real type of investor. So purely focus on the value because it's purely profitable, being that the assets were already acquired, right? So identify yourself within the spectrum. Are you a solopreneur? Are you purely focused on profit? And if you are, what things can you adjust? What is your current average lifetime value of a customer? And are you willing to spend that much in order to acquire them as a customer? And if you are, then we can start to reverse engineer our advertising budget. So if it takes $100 to acquire a customer, 10 customers is going to cost you $1,000, right? So keep those things in mind. If people don't just get rich on the internet online because they have a flawless sales process, that is hugely beneficial. That's like really number one. You have to have that. But at the end of the day, they were able to spend enough to acquire enough customers to then lead them into new offers. The back end is purely profit. Whereas the front end, we have to do a little investing, but if we do it strategically, we can acquire those assets and become purely profitable on the back end. The back end is where the profits are. The break-even point, our front end, is entirely focused on acquiring assets, right, at cost. So $100, invest $100, get a customer for $100, then we can ascend them into our value ladder, into our other offers. As a solopreneur, focus entirely. I don't know why that keeps going out. Focus entirely on profit. We can only spend $50 to acquire a customer. So at $50 to acquire a customer, it's going to take you twice as long to acquire them, right? So if it costs you $100 to acquire a customer and you can only spend 50, it's going to take you twice as long to actually get somebody to make a purchase, right? You're going to have to spend that money. It's going to take you a lot longer. So when it comes to your budget, again, just remember, what are you willing to spend to acquire a customer? Then depending on the amount of customers you're trying to generate into your pipeline per month, you can start to equivalate that number. If you want 100 customers, you're going to spend $10,000, right, at $100 cost. But now you've got, maybe I said that wrong, $10,000 to have 1,000 customers, or let's see, I'm doing that math wrong. So that's $100,000. So, but again, it's all about level 3 with the investor. So I'm going to keep this one short. Hopefully that was impactful. Hopefully you can start to see inside your advertising strategy where you can make some improvements. If you're not at level 2, this is where most people should be focusing, is at a break even, and then ascending them, making them repeat customers. This works for local businesses. This works for coaching, consultants, agencies, so on and so forth, right? In the agency description. maybe your front end it cost the acquisition. If you had one thing that you were offering to acquire a customer for your agency, you need to determine that, and that was maybe that cost $1,000. You paid $1,000 to acquire a customer. Now they're a customer, especially in an agency timeline. Most of the time, that is a recurring thing. So then everything out after that becomes pure profit plus the upsells, right? So logically think this through, identify yourself on the spectrum, and then break down your budget based on what you can what you number one you can afford to invest, but also realistically analyzing what it's going to cost to acquire a customer, and then prepare that budget so that you can start acquiring customers. So that's it for today. Callwithshane.com has a free 30-minute training that you can get access to, that's going to really help you identify your message to your audience and your offer so that you can really convey that in a harmonic way to really help people identify with that message and then lead them to a sale. So that's it for today. If you aren't part of the Simplified Sales Solutions Facebook group, join now. That's totally free. There's multiple content. We do these trainings every Friday at 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And then just, if you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe. So love y'all. Much love.